Hi everyone. Good evening from Abuja, Nigeria. My name is Blessing. I'm going to be Elo, and I am, team for Fail Conference. And here at Fail Conference, we talk about failure stories, not just success stories. And we're having a series where we spotlight, those amazing ladies, those amazing guys that are doing really well in the tech space and other industry as well. They come talk about their stories. Most importantly, let us know about failures they've had in the long run and how they overcame those failures, because myself and you might probably be going through that stage, and you need to know that okay, it's totally fine. Even people that are up there once had such moments. And today with me is the amazing Adora Nwodo. uh, Adora is a software engineer at Microsoft. So Adora will be sharing. We're spotlighting Adora. She's like first person we're spotlighting. Thank you so much for accepting this interview with us, Adora. Good evening.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. Thank you for inviting me. It means a lot to be here, and I really like what you people are doing with this because, like we were chatting about earlier, everybody already only sees the glitz and the glamour, and when you come and make an amazing announcement and people tell you congratulations, but they don't know the number of stress and the sweat and the pain and the multiple rounds of rejections that you went through
That's right.
because you don't really talk about that part. So it's nice to see that, this is happening and I'm really excited about it.
Thank you so much. So, Adora, other than the usual bio we hear from your sessions where you give talks and all that, can you like tell us something about you? Perhaps something really fun?
Something really fun is something I feel like everyone already knows, which is the fact that I'm a DJ, which no one ever believes until they play. And they're like, oh my God, you can play. Of course I can play. What do you mean? Um, but something else that is fun about me. The other one is that I like enjoyment. I think that's pretty obvious because I talk about it a lot. Like never to be caught on fresh. Can't come and stress me. It's like
Exactly.
they don't really sweat for me. You understand? So
Yeah.
I think the fun things that I would like to share are things that I've already shared. If I've not shared it, I don't want anyone to know it.
All
Or
right.
rather, I want the public to know it.
Yeah. Yeah, for the soft life, and we see that a lot, especially your
Yeah.
birthday. I was like, Lord, oh Lord, am I a wood? So that's amazing. So why is career in software engineering? I mean, was that
I
something you
mean,
actually wanted or just happened?
I've always wanted it. To be honest, I don't remember what I wanted before I wanted it. Although I remember what my parents wanted for me, which was law.
Oh,
I was like 5 years old. You know, when you talk a lot as a child, your parents just assume you are going to be a lawyer when you grow up. So
exactly,
that was what that was. But like I don't know what I wanted to be before I wanted to be a programmer. I didn't even know the word tech. I knew
exactly.
computers and I knew programmer. And then
Okay.
when I grew up a bit and I got into secondary school and university, I knew the word developer. But like tech in itself, I knew technology. But like tech in
Yeah.
itself, I did not know
Mm,
tech as like a slang or a word or whatever until I got into uni. So I've always wanted to be in this field because I still find, I don't want to say I found, but I still find computers very amazing and intriguing. I think there's a lot of amazingness packed in ones and zeros and hardware. I think it's really amazing how how much impact you can make, how much you can change someone's life just because you thought about an idea and you decided to write a bunch of lines that's translated to ones and zeros and many people are using. I mean, technology is the reason why we're having this conversation over StreamYard right now. So
mm,
I find technology really amazing and I just wanted to be like, hey, I wanted to build something too, right? Maybe
mhm.
help build something, make it better. Because some technologies that I was using when I was small used to vex me. That's actually the first motivation. This thing that you've built, I
Sure.
don't like it, make it better. That was the first motivation, right? And then over time, I wanted to be like, oh, okay, I can build too. So that's where like this whole shindig actually started from.
Right, that's awesome. And being a woman and going to study computer science, like, was it actually strange? Like, did you get that? Oh, you're a lady, why are you here? Or in your department, was it like more ladies or more male in the department? And how did you feel basically studying computer science in school?
If I'm very honest, I hate this question, and I'm going to tell you. I feel like we're trying to get out of this whole box that
Mm-hmm.
is, you know, being underrepresented. And there are some times that we further put ourselves in the box by raising these sorts of concerns. I feel like what's important is to show women that they can, not to highlight the fact that they were told they couldn't. I mean, I've never been told that I cannot do anything. I mean, I mean, I mean, I feel like I don't want to like be that person that sounds like I'm bragging or anything, but obviously it comes with a lot of hard work and prayers and more hard work. But everything I touch turns to gold, literally. So I've never had all my
Okay.
life, I've never had anyone to come and tell me that, oh, you're a girl, you should not be here. That's never happened to me before. I mean, of course, when I was in uni, there were a lot more guys than girls in computer science, studying computer science with me. I don't remember the ratio exactly, but it was more than double for sure. I think it was nearing triple, if not already at triple safe, right? But it was definitely more than double. I remember that. Um, However, I didn't care because in my head it's like, okay, like I'm sure here. So I'm not going to focus on what isn't. I'm going to focus on what is and make the best out of it. That's why, like I said, I don't like the question. I don't appreciate. I think another second question I hate is how do you feel as a woman in tech? I think that's the one I hate the most. Because I don't it's like, why are you asking me? Like I'm a human being and the problems I have as someone in tech is problems that anyone in tech would also have in terms of debugging or figuring out your job or whatever, whatever. So definitely. But yeah, I didn't feel any kind of way being a woman studying computer science for whatever reason. But
Okay.
I would be lying if I said I didn't notice that there were not many women in my class compared to like when we were in secondary school and there was like it wasn't a 50-50 balance, across like genders, but at least I saw more female faces in secondary school than I did in university.
Okay, amazing. I actually asked this question because I work with women a lot in the tech community in Abuja, and I recently had an event on Saturday, and then some ladies that were thinking of getting into tech, and they feel that there is no space for them as a woman. They feel, oh, it's not a lady's thing. So that's why I asked. So, if you're listening or you're watching us and you feel, oh, you cannot get into tech because you're a woman, there's always a space for you. So thank you so much for that awesome answer. So the next question is: if you were not a software engineer, if you're not a software engineer, what would you have become career wise?
If I wasn't a software engineer, I would probably be a fashion entrepreneur. I mean, I've tried it before and I failed. Interesting because we're talking about failures right now. I've tried it before and I failed. And I guess a lot of I didn't really did I fail or did I just get tired and close it? I think I got tired and closed it because I wanted to focus my energy on other things. So if
Okay.
the other things, for example, a career in software engineering in 95 at Microsoft, if those other things did not exist, maybe I would have kept at it and that's probably what I would be doing full time. I would definitely be a fashion entrepreneur. You know, I would own a business that makes and sells shoes, bags, wallets, probably dabble into clothes at some point. Make it a whole thing, start off in Nigeria, launch into other African countries, set up partnerships with people in different, you know, um, continents and like just grow the business. That would have been like
Expansion.
an that would have been the goal. But before I did that, I would have probably wanted to be in entertainment first, maybe like as a DJ or a radio presenter or something, just because I feel like it's fashion, beauty, and lifestyle, and the entertainment industry are like this. So I would want to, create some networks and connections that would help my business go further. Do you get what I mean? Before I decide that, okay, yeah, I am now setting it. But that's definitely what the ultimate goal would have been to be a fashion entrepreneur later on. And to be honest, there's still a chance that I might do it at some point in my future. Like life is funny. I might just wake up and be like, "Yeah, no coding anymore. All of you are stressing me," and I'll go and do the other thing on my mind, right?
You'll never
Um,
be.
but yeah, like there's also that. The other second thing that I would have done if I wasn't doing fashion entrepreneurship and lifestyle and stuff like that is that I would probably just be a billionaire's wife. Because, like I said,
Hmm.
I'm
Oh,
for the
that's
soft. Oh, that's wife. Yes, I'm for the soft life. They didn't really swear for me. Do you understand? Like, so,
exactly.
so if I wasn't doing tech and I wasn't thinking about finding a way to launch and grow my fashion business across different parts of the world, I
Uh-huh.
would just be a billionaire's wife, and obviously by extension a trust fund baby because
Yeah, awesome, awesome. I totally love that. That's like my plan B in case this tech thing doesn't work for me. Oh, that's right, straight up. Okay, so for those that are not into tech and probably don't know what a software or what a software engineer is and what a software engineer does, could you like explain what your job to say a 5 year old or somebody that's totally new in the space?
okay, so I build applications that people use every day. I am one of the people that assemble different components, writes a bunch of lines of commands to the computer so that the computer creates the applications that you use. Some of these applications that you use every day are things like YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat. If you like these applications, then you should definitely find a software engineer around you and tell them thank you because these are the people that are building these things the same way bricklayers build houses that you live in. Software
Mhm.
engineers build these applications that you use.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. So, as a developer or being you, how do you handle burnout?
How do I handle burnouts? I block everybody's number. I don't like doing it. When I notice that I'm getting burned out, I take some time off work. It could be in the form of like mental health days that I want to just take off because I really need to, reconnect with myself and balance things out before I go again. Or if the burnout has eaten so deep that it has become stress and I'm actually down, I take 6 days off. And when I'm doing that, I'm completely off. Sometimes this year I did it a lot. I traveled a lot to work in different locations. Um, so when I'm tired of Lagos and Lagos is stressing me, I'll just pack my bag and go to Abuja. Like I can't. When I'm tired of Abuja is stressing me, I'll come back to Lagos. When I'm in Lagos and my house is stressing me, I'll go and lodge in a hotel for a weekend. Like I
All
did a lot
right.
of that this year, and sometimes changing environment helps you a lot. And also being intentional about taking your breaks. If you have holidays, take them. If you have leave days, take them. I say this thing a lot that there's no trophy for Nami Suffer Pass. Because if you finish all these things and you die, I promise you,
Hmm.
the people that hired you are going to put up a new job posting to replace you and it's going to be business
That's
as usual and you would already be
what
dead.
flexible, right? Right. That makes a lot of sense. So, if you were to, I'm sure you would have gotten this question a whole lot of time, but then if you were to advise yourself, say you can go back in time and advise yourself, what advice would you have given to your younger self? Like more like giving people out there tips that are just starting out, their career and all that.
What advice would I have given to my younger self? Be bold and stand up
Hmm.
for yourself, to be honest. I don't say this often. I've actually never said it before, but not as a child, because as a child I was actually bold and fearless. My God, it was a problem. But I mean I got into secondary school and I was in boarding school and I was bullied, right? And then, I was suppressed for a while. And, the suppression went on for a while and, got into uni as well, minding my own business. And actually, it ended up becoming a stepping stone because that was all the different versions of me being suppressed is the reason why I got into public speaking because I wanted to get comfortable with doing the uncomfortable. Do you get what I mean?
Hmm.
So it
Yeah.
ended up being Blessing, I don't know. Maybe if I was bold, I would not be here today. So maybe last class, everything aligned the way it was supposed to be. Maybe I was supposed to get bullied so that I would put myself in those situations that would make me do public speaking, and then people would find me, and then I would grow a brand. I don't know, but the world is funny. But definitely, if everything else in my life still went according to the way it went, and I could just go back to change this one thing, but it wouldn't really alter my future, but maybe it would alter my experience. The one thing I would change is I would stand up for myself more and not just really allow people bully me. Because I mean, I was very tiny, so I was easy to bully. So I was easy to bully, right? But yeah, I would definitely say no to that if I could go back in time.
All right. So be bold. If you're out there, if you're being bullied, I mean, just be bold. Be bold about it. So now,
Because it affects
how do
you
you?
mentally in ways
Okay.
that you don't even know. And funny thing is, a lot of times these bullies graduate from school, they reinvent themselves, and they come out and it's like a whole thing of, oh,
Mm,
I'm a new human being. But it's like, okay, what about the person that
yeah.
you've done, right? So you, that
Exactly.
person, as much as I'm going to say no to bullying, and I'm like, anywhere bullies are seen, they should be reprimanded and they should be punished. You should also learn to stand up for yourself to prevent yourself from getting bullied, right? So yeah,
Exactly.
definitely would
Yes.
say that.
Okay. So, circling back to our conversations, you know, at my introduction, talking about failures and how people see it and how they should handle it. Like, how do you like actually see failure, and what does failure mean to you?
Failure is motivation. I see failure as motivation and I see failure as an opportunity to learn. All the different times I have failed in my life, it's either I have learned something that has helped me do something better going forward, or I have been motivated to work extra hard to go and get
Mm,
something else. Do you get? For example, um, the first time I ever had all A's in Unilag was because prior to that, the semester before that, I had I had a very bad personal experience with a bunch of people that used to be my friends. So even if I would still call that failure because technically I failed at picking the right people to be my friends. So I wouldn't say like, oh, I failed in class and that triggered something. But that failure, right, caused me to motivate, like to be motivated enough to make better decisions going forward. And the better decisions included making better friends. And the better friends I made had an impact in my academics as well, which, affected, just it was like a whole effect. And it just like it's what's the word trickled down across like the different areas, if that makes sense. So yeah, definitely failure is a tool to motivate myself to make better decisions. Failure is a tool for me to learn as well. Like, for example, you do a job interview and you fail. Even all these big companies, when you do a job interview for them and you fail, for example, like Amazon, if you fail an AWS interview, that's not the end, because they'll tell you that, oh, after 6 months you can apply again. And
mm-hmm.
when you fail, they give you feedback. So you can actually go back,
Yeah.
learn all the things that you did wrong, and then come back in the next 6 months, and that might just be your time. Right? So
What?
failure for me is not a full stop. So it's not the end of your story. It could be a comma because there's still a lot more to that sentence. It could be flipping a new page and starting again. Do you get what I mean? But it's not the
Yeah.
end of the chapter. It's not the end. It's a tool to actually motivate you and help you make better decisions and learn and grow.
Okay. Is there a time where like you ever failed, and then at some point you were like, oh, this is not for me, but then you had no choice than to continue pushing? Has there been one time you've probably failed that you want to share?
Oh, one time. Oh, I've not failed one time. I failed like plenty. But I think the one that I want to share here today, because I mean, the other ones I've shared in a bunch of articles and things, and it's easy to find them on the internet. But the one I want to share today is one of the courses I did in university. So I did a course in my 400 level. And when I got into the exam hall and I opened the script, I said, yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Like
I
you
failed.
already know.
I knew, right?
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I had failed. And so what I did was I wrote the exam the best way I could write it, but I knew I wasn't going to do well, right? But what did I do
Yeah.
after? We had projects to do, and I'm like, okay, now I need to put in my all to make sure that I do this project well so that I actually don't fail this course and have to carry it over,
Mm.
right? I put in my all for the projects and stuff like that. And luckily, when the results came out, I had an E. I had 42. So I was thankful because, like,
Oh,
well, I did fail it, sha,
wow.
right?
Go. Yes.
The next semester, I took it upon myself to make up for
Mm.
the E so it didn't affect my GP, like because I wanted to graduate with a first class, right? So obviously that E had reduced my CGPA, right, by a lot. And then I made a
Yeah.
conscious effort to make sure that in the next semester I did well to cover up for that E that I had. And
Mm.
I did that. I mean, it required a lot more work, but I was able to do that. And that next semester actually had all A's. I had no
Amazing.
B's. I had the
Oh,
5.0. I had a clear semester that semester.
amazing.
And because like there's some people that that kind of thing will happen to, and they just be like, Omo, this computer science is not for me, safe. I mean, I've already even Google failed this course. I'm trying. But I saw that as I failed this course. Now I have to make sure that I don't fail it to repeat it. I just fail it to spoil my GP small and I can fix the GP in front, right? And then
Mm.
once I did that, the front came and I did everything in my power to make sure that I actually fixed that GP. So I don't know whether it's about how I have been brought up, but
Mm.
I never see anything as final. I
Okay.
always see, I always feel like there is a chance, as long as someone is alive, there is a chance if you don't like a certain result, if there's currently something you don't like about yourself, about your situation, about a result that you got in a thing that you did, there's time to change it. It might require
Mm.
more time. Sometimes it might require money. For example, maybe if you've paid for a course and you didn't pass it the way you want, and they're like, we've given you your certificate, you might decide that, oh, you want to go and pay for another course and redo it. So, like I said, it might require money, it might require more time, it might
Okay.
require other things. But the point is, I don't see anything as a full stop. I don't. And I think maybe it's because I've been brought up like that that I have been able to, even when I fail, decide that it's not final. I'm going to fix this thing somehow and it's going to turn into a different form of a success story. And it always works out.
I love that. I love that. So to our viewers, I hope you're, learning because I am. I am learning a lot from, Adora's story. If you have any question for Adora, you can drop it in the comment section. I'll take a couple of it before she looks up. So my next question is, say you are doing something, for instance, you have to be persistent, after failing. How do you know that, oh, this is not worth my time and my patience? Like, how do I mean, when do you distinguish that, oh, this is a waste of time, or you have to be patient and you keep pushing?
Something is a waste of time because it does not align with your goals. That's exactly why it's a waste of time. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is why you are doing that thing in the first place. If it does not
Mm,
align with certain results you want to get or certain goals you have for yourself, your career, your life. Right now in my life, I'm not optimizing for career at the moment. I'm optimizing for balance. There are now other things. So I feel like my career is not there yet. However, I think that my career is at a point where for my age, I'm okay and I can, maintain this, go slowly and be steady, and I will be okay and I will continue growing, right?
mm,
So now, as
yeah.
opposed to optimizing for career growth, another thing is I feel like I've now mastered how to optimize for career growth. So I don't even, it's now a part of me, it's now a default setting. So now I've moved on to learn how to optimize for other things. One of the major things I'm optimizing for myself right now is balance. So
Mm,
when things come to my table, apart from normal career things, right? Apart from normal career things that I would do regardless, because last I still have the career. I will not drop it because I now want to pick up balance. The whole point is
yeah.
to learn balance, to balance everything, not to drop something and pick up something else, right? So when something
Okay.
new comes to my table, if it's not career related, the first thing I ask myself is, how is this thing actually helping me achieve that balance that I have decided to seek? And if it's not helping, I don't bother.
Hmm.
Right? So for different people, it could be other things. So for me, it's balance. For you, it could be monies. For you, it might be a career. For you, it might be a family. For you, like, I mean, for me, it's also a family, to be fair. And family, to be honest, is also part of the balance. Like,
Balance. Yes,
everything is.
sure. I get
It could be multiple things, but you need to figure out what that thing is, and then you, because you need to know your why and your how. And once you can tell those two things, if you realize that you're spending your time on something that you should not be spending your time on in that season of your life, then you can drop it. So I don't think this question is something anyone can answer for you. It's something you have to answer for yourself personally based on what you are currently optimizing for.
makes a whole lot of sense. So, as a known person in this field, like, how do you handle negative comments
I don't see them.
from?
I block them so I can see road. Or well, actually, that's a lie. I do two things. It depends on who the negative comment is coming from and the kind of comment. If it's a troll, or it's clearly someone that is not in tech Twitter, or someone that is just trying to be silly, I block immediately because I don't have time. If it's someone on tech Twitter, or maybe someone that is trying to, what's the word, shits on my work or on women in tech in general, then I use them as
Hmm.
a scapegoat just to teach others that you can't cross me. Do you understand? So it really depends. There are some that I decide that yes, I'm going to use you as a scapegoat, and when I'm done, with my back
Hmm.
and forth with you, you will not try this again in your life. And then there are some that when I even see it, I'm like, this thing is not worth my time, and I just
Not
block
worth the
them.
time,
No,
exactly.
it's not time. It's not. I can't. You can't drag me to the mall to be fighting with you. Now come and stay my white. I don't do that. So some of them are blocked straight up.
Oh, okay, okay, that's cool. That's cool. So, can you like take us through your day? Like, what's a day as Adora like?
A day in my life. There's no templates. I'm on
Wow.
like today was different from yesterday. Yesterday I was on the island. I spent, it was a day. Today I've been in my house. I tried to go to church in the afternoon. Traffic said I will not go. I came back. I still kept on working. So like my days are never the same. But I
Okay.
guess the ideal thing is, wake up in the morning, pray, start my day. I don't start to work until like 11 a.m. So before 11 a.m., I attend to emails, community related stuff, social media things that I have to do, and clear some of that backlog in the morning when my brain is still fresh. So I'm able to do a lot because your mornings are the best times. And then I start my work at like 11 or 12. I do that purposely because I want to work because I have teammates, spread across different parts of the world. And I like to work in time zones when, I can reach out to the different people. So if I'm working at 12, I'm working with Nigerians. And if I need any help from any Nigerian, I can reach out to them. If I need any help from anyone in London or Dublin, I can reach out to them. By like 3 o'clock, the Americans would be awake. So if I need anything from them, I can reach out to them. So when I work from like 12 to 7, it's easier to actually enjoy remote work as opposed to when you're working from like actual 9 to 5 your time zone. Because if you actually need something from someone else in a different time zone, it will be hard to get from them because you actually find yourself working extra hours just because you need to have meetings with some people outside of your time zone. So I just decided to start like work a bit late, start work a bit late so I can close work later and I can, talk to everybody I want to talk to. So I do that. And then once I'm done with work, I get on TikTok or I get on Twitter or I open Amazon Prime or Netflix. Like I
Full of
rest, I relax with whatever
exactly.
it is that I can relax with. And some evenings I video call my friends, other evenings is voice call. Some days it's one particular kind of friend, other days is a different kind because I have plenty of friends. So can't be talking to only one every day. The other ones will feel neglected and left out. So I used to switch it. Um But yeah, actively communicating with them, and I just end the day. That's a
Mm.
typical day for me. Wake up,
Uh,
work, do community stuff, do my normal work, end the day lights, end the day with social media or watching something, and then talking to my friends, and then sleeping, and then waking up the next day. So that's like typical day.
that's amazing. So you're writing a second book. Congratulations, by the way, and it's one of
Thank you.
the top five biggest book publishers. So what should we expect? Those of us waiting to get the book. Yeah,
I
taking.
mean, I'm an academic author, so expect an academic book. Definitely expect a book that will break down Azure DevOps to you in a way that makes sense. If you were a computer science student, you know that we read a lot of academic books from this particular brand. I'll never forget is Detail. There were a lot of Detail computer science books that people I know read, and I feel like then I was reading Detail books. Now I'm writing Wiley academic books, and in a couple years, people will be reading my books in their classrooms because it's not like my first book, which was very, beginner friendly and colorful and try to explain concepts in the most basic way. This book is purely academic. So it's
Mm.
books that people that want to use Azure would buy to keep in their house. And when they want to use Azure, they'll open it to reference something and go and do that thing, right? Books like that. It's books that lecturers can even use to teach Azure or teach DevOps or teach
Wow,
Azure DevOps. So it is
amazing.
a fully academic book. So definitely that's something that you should expect. If you are trying to learn Azure DevOps in any capacity, it's a book I would totally recommend to you. I know that I am the author and I have a bias, but I feel like I'm so proud to write it and I'm so honored to write it with an amazing publisher. It's been an amazing journey, and I know that I have learned a lot more than I knew about Azure writing this book, and it's been totally amazing, definitely. So yeah, you should expect to learn a lot from Azure, how to use Azure in your entire DevOps pipeline for project management, for source code management, for build and release pipelines like you're saying, continuous integration and continuous delivery, CI/CD stuff, for testing, for storing artifacts in your artifacts repository, different parts of Azure, different bits of Azure. And this book brings every single thing together. And it's going to be a really big book. It's going to be about 300 pages, hopefully not more, but it's a big book. It is a
Wow.
big I'm stressed. See my eyebrows. But
Kudos to you.
yeah,
I'm
expect Azure
okay,
information overload. I think
okay,
that's
I'm
what
just
I'll
comment. As somebody said, this book is not for dummy.
the book
All
is
right.
for dummies because um it's been explained in the basic way possible. So yes, it's an academic book, but like the title says, it's beginning Azure DevOps. So I don't expect someone that already knows Azure DevOps very well. Someone said Lucy, but I don't expect someone that already knows Azure DevOps very well, you know, to be someone that uses that book. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Okay.
still a beginner book, but it's an academic book as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. One more question before you go. Like, do you have like any words, any form of encouragement for those that are, going through some sort of phase in their life where they feel they're like a failure, or they've been applying for that job, they've been getting breakfast, they've been serving them breakfast back to back to back. Do you like have any word of motivation? And also for those that are probably thinking of getting into tech, do you have any idea, any advice for beginner in tech?
Okay, so I'll go with the failure advice first. Keep trying, to be honest. You get many no's. All you need is one yes, and that's what will turn your life around. I know these no's are supposed to help you build character, they're supposed to help you learn so that you get better. All the breakfast they are chopping, it's not so that it's not so that you finish and then you get sad and go and lie in your bed. Do you get what I mean? Like it's supposed to help you learn and grow so that when you finally, and sometimes even these failures, help you appreciate the success more when it finally comes, right? And I failed a Google interview before, right? And today I work at Microsoft. Obviously, I failed the Google interview for a very stupid reason. That time I used to be very shy. Also, one of the reasons why I did, one of the things that actually pushed me into public speaking, again, failure pushed me into public speaking. Failing a Google interview pushed me into public speaking because they gave me the interview question, and I did not realize that you were supposed to talk to the interviewer, explain your thought process as you are writing code. So as they gave me the question, I just wrote the code and I said I had finished. So obviously the next day they told me that see not gonna make it, right? And obviously it hurt, but like that led me to, because I knew that it was because I didn't do the interview the right way. I didn't communicate during the interview because I was afraid, of speaking for whatever reason. And I had to fix that and fix myself. And I mean, now the Microsoft interview came at a time in my life when I feel like if I had ended up doing Google, I would have moved to Dublin, right? Because that was where they were trying to hire me for, Dublin or Warsaw, right? It was Dublin or Warsaw I would have moved to. Warsaw is a city in Poland. And I wasn't ready at the time to relocate. So I definitely would have struggled a lot. So I mean, at the end of the day, it took like a couple months, then the Microsoft interview came and it came to me on my bed in my father's house. So everything eventually worked out at the end of the day. So failure should teach you and motivate you. And as you fail, learn and build character so that when you finally get that success, you would appreciate it more. Don't feel like it's the end of the world. I promise it's not. It might seem that way sometimes, it might be very hard. And as I'm giving you this advice, I'm also talking to myself because although I fail in tech and I have learned this in tech, in some other areas of my life, my personal life, I still haven't learned it. There are some things I would fail in at this point in my life now that I would go and be like, God, why? God, I'm tired. I can't do this. Do you get what I mean? So I'm also still talking to myself as I'm saying this, right? So it's important to know that people fail. Many people just don't tell you, right? The person that wrote Harry Potter, you don't want to know how many times her book failed
Yeah.
before it finally got published. Jay-Z that everyone is saying is one of the most successful rappers in the world today. Do you know how many people rejected Jay-Z and told him he was not going to make it before he said, almost see, please, please, please. I'm going to go and create my own label by myself. Don't come and stress me with your nonsense. And then that
Yeah.
was the beginning of his success and everything, right? So different people would fail at life. Different people with Michael Jackson. Like the list is endless if we actually sit down and start talking about it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The owner of KFC that launched KFC when he was already in his 70s. Do you know how many times he failed in his life? So um it's okay to fail, and like I said, it builds character and it makes your success even more successful because you would have learned a lot that when you now finally do the one that would hit, it will make sense. And that's why I tell people, when you fail, let it not just be a failure. And then even if you are saying we move, it's okay to say we move, but as you are saying we move, also learn from that previous thing that happened. It's important to learn from that experience because if you do we move and you don't learn, you're going to keep making the same mistake every single time. And that way
Mm.
your failure is going to have an impact in your success story, if at all you end up having a success story. So it's very important to learn from whatever failure that you have. I think that's where I'm going to leave it out. And I've also mentioned like a bunch of successful people that have failed before, so that you know that you are not, nothing is wrong with you. It's not your village people. Nothing is wrong with you because you're failing. It's a normal thing. Um, Advice for people that want to get into tech. The first advice I would give is patience. People don't say this a lot, but you want to get in and your eye is already big even before you have the skill sets that people that have big eye are supposed to have. First thing I'll say is patience. Next thing I'll say is fundamentals. Learn the fundamentals of whatever it is you are trying to go in for. I'm not going to say this in the context of um software engineering now because there might be other people that are not software engineers that are here, right? So I'm going to say this in the context of tech generally. If you want to get into, these big companies, learn the fundamentals. If it's design, learn the fundamentals. If it's programming, learn the fundamentals. If it's product management, learn the fundamentals. If it's QA engineering or security, learn those fundamentals. The next thing I would want to say is find a way to attract recruiters to you. It's a
Hmm.
lot easier to attract them to you than to go and apply for the job, because there are so many amazing people applying for that job as well. So sometimes the fact that you don't get called is not because your resume is not good or your application was not good. It was It's just in the pool of many awesome ones. And unfortunately, they can only pick like 10. Do you
Hmm.
understand? So
Yeah.
imagine having to pick 10 from 1,000. The fact that they picked 10, let me just tell you now, doesn't necessarily mean they picked the best 10. Do you know what I mean? They
Right.
picked
Yeah.
good, they picked 10 good, applications, but it might not have been the best 10 applications. So don't think that, oh, it's because you didn't apply well. Sometimes it might not be. It's just that there's a pool of people and yours just didn't make the cut. That's why I would always say find a way to attract recruiters to yourself. And the best way to do that is by networking. Networking physically might be hard for big tech companies, in might be hard for you with big tech companies, because we are in Nigeria. So you can't go for all these networking events or all these hiring events they always do, or career fairs and that. So you can't network physically. However, you can network virtually. You can use your LinkedIn to your advantage. I say this thing a lot. Spend
Yeah.
less time on Twitter and more on LinkedIn. I'm not
LinkedIn.
saying you should become one of those people that do aspire to Maguire on LinkedIn. No. But number one, don't make your LinkedIn dormant, right?
Okay.
Come there, like some posts, interact, just so that the LinkedIn algorithm works in favor of you because you are active there.
Hmm.
Optimize your profile. Put things in, like, if you're trying to get hired for roles in AI and security, put things about AI and security in your bio. Take certifications about AI and security and put it in your LinkedIn. Link those certifications. If you write a blog post about AI and security, publish that same blog post on LinkedIn as well.
Hmm.
Be very visible about the things, so that when recruiters are reaching out to you, recruiters are not reaching out to you for product design. They are reaching out to you for AI and security, because that's what
Yeah.
you wanted to do. They're not reaching out to you for something like, I don't know, VR and AR engineering, because you are not, that's not what you are. You are not a product designer, neither are you a VR AR engineer. But you are someone that is building a track record in AI and cybersecurity. Do you get what I mean? And then they would reach out to you based on that, because you've been very, connect with people as well. Make sure you have 500 plus LinkedIn connections, and not just random connections. You're connecting with your friend that studied law. No, connect with tech people, connect with
Yeah.
recruiters, connect with people in companies that you want to get into. So that if
Hmm.
a recruiter is even looking for you, they'll see that that number on LinkedIn, second, first, third.
Yes. Yes.
The second number means I'm not connected to you, but I'm connected to someone that is connected to you. The third one means I'm not connected to you, but I'm connected to someone that is connected to someone else that is connected to you, right? So it's like, the third
Yeah.
level and things like that. So try to connect with people in the same field and company that you're trying to get into, and it will be easier for recruiters to find you. Use the keywords for that job: AI, job search, cybersecurity. Use a lot of them in your profile and in the posts that you make. Engage with people that are already in that field that you want to get into on LinkedIn, and recruiters would find you. And when recruiters find you, you have the interview. You might not get the job, but you've gotten the interview. Now that's different from when you apply, because when you apply, you don't have the interview. They might reach out to you, they might not. But once a recruiter reaches out to you directly, you already have the interview. Do you understand? And once you
Yes.
have the interview, now you make sure that you get ready with all the fundamentals you've learned, all the technical things you need to know. Most times they always do technical skills and also soft skills. So you would have at least one soft skills interview, right? So make sure you learn about the technical skills, you learn about the soft skills, you go for the interview. First of all, if it's a what's it called? If it's a physical interview, you are well dressed and you bring a personal touch to the interview, meaning you're asking questions, you are being a very good conversationalist as you are talking about technical things that make sense. If it's a virtual interview, make sure you are punctual, make sure your lighting is good, and make sure you also try as well to be a good conversationalist. right? These are important things. And also research about the company that you want to go into before you get there, so that you have the right questions to ask the interviewer. You know, you say the right things that would leave an impact on that interviewer, so that when they are giving you a rating, they give you a good rating because you left them, shocked, basically. Do you understand? So yeah,
Yes.
I guess these are the tips I would give, and these are the things I would say you can do to get your first job. I made it very general because I feel like there might be people here that are not necessarily software engineers. So I don't want to now start talking about data structures and the rest, because now what will happen to the
Mm,
PMs that are working with this? So I've left it the way
exactly.
I've left it. So now I've said fundamentals and I've said learn the technical things. Whatever your field is, put that inside, and then this is a framework or a template that would work for everyone.
Thank you so much. One thing I picked there that I haven't really been doing is, putting myself out there, write that article, talk about it, network more with people. And that's something I'll
Network,
definitely, yes, that's
networking is
something.
important. I wouldn't necessarily call it putting yourself out there, because when you say put yourself out there, you tend to put people under pressure, because now put yourself out there has become another thing on social media. I'm not even That's a different conversation I don't think I want to have today.
Oh,
Right?
really?
So all I would just say is network, right? Network. Network with the right people on LinkedIn. And I say this a lot. Spend more time on LinkedIn than we spend on Twitter, especially in your early career. That's one thing that helped me a lot. That's one thing that saved me a lot. The Microsoft recruiter that eventually reached out to me reached out through LinkedIn. I did not submit any CV. I got reached out
Wow.
to and I got the interview directly because I leverage the power of LinkedIn, because I listen. And I know that this is really solid advice, because one of my mentors gave me this advice, and I was wise enough to actually sit down and listen to what he said and practicalize it. I didn't ignore it. So now the
Mm,
advice he has given me, I'm also giving you. Take LinkedIn seriously. If you do the right things on that platform, it is a gold mine, even a lot better than Twitter, to be honest.
okay.
I
Thank
feel
you
like
so
Twitter is a lot more for like developer advocates, right? People in DevRel, right? If you're not necessarily in DevRel, like if you're core engineering,
much.
it might be a bit. I don't know how many people that have gotten core engineering jobs. Now I'm not talking, something a developer advocate or program manager for this, or I'm talking core software engineering. I hardly see people get core software engineering jobs on Twitter. It's always LinkedIn that recruiters reach out to people from. So especially when you are a software engineer, you should be using LinkedIn a lot to your advantage. Maybe Twitter
That's
would work for, people like designers, you know, yeah, I don't know. I really don't actually know what works for designers because I'm not. But I'll tell you that I know that LinkedIn works for everyone. So you should focus on that place and use it to the best of the advantage.
amazing. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for taking that time out to come talk to us and have this conversation. So, as you can connect with Adora, her name is on the screen. You can connect with her on LinkedIn, and her Twitter handle is right there as well. So, is there any last word you want to say, or should
I
we do
think
as?
I think I've said everything. I just hope that um you take this advice, and I really hope that it helps you.
Thank you so much, and
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you so much. Bye.